With the clock ticking on a June 1st debt ceiling deadline, Speaker Kevin McCarthy's team walked out on negotiations with the White House this afternoon. Louisiana Representative Garrett Graves said it's just not productive and accused the Biden administration of being unreasonable. Negotiations have resumed tonight, but what's actually unreasonable is the Republicans' red line in talks. New York requirements in talks requiring work requirements on social safety net programs, including SNAP food aid, aid to low-income families with children, and Medicaid, a program that benefits America's poor. People who MAGA Republican Matt Gaetz referred to as couch potatoes who shouldn't be subsidized by hardworking Americans. It is the newest version of Ronald Reagan's racist and derogatory welfare queen myth that jump-started the Republican Party's war on the working poor, emphasis on working. As David Firestone writes in the New York Times, demands over the debt ceiling are just a vehicle for Republicans to go after the people they've long demonized. These largely racist attacks, very much including the one now on the table, persistently ignore the little-mentioned fact that a vast majority of the people receiving these benefits are already working or are unable to work. You heard that right. Work requirements are already the law. Federal law requires adults under 50 without dependents to work at least 20 hours a week to receive SNAP food aid benefits. And the majority of Medicaid recipients are working, 61% of them in 2021. And those who weren't working were taking care of small children, disabled, retired, or in school. So what Republicans are pretending to negotiate on is nothing except sticking it to the working poor. As usual, the cruelty is the point. Joining me now is Ali Velshi, MSNBC chief correspondent and host of Velshi Weekend Mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern on MSNBC. I'm so lucky to be here to get to talk to you.
Nice to see you, friend.
This has been a long thing since Reagan,
yes.
right? And let's just play Reagan real quick.
One social program, food stamps, had grown from a $70 million experimental program in 1965 to an $11.25 billion program in 1981. The government was draining off America's productivity and placing an enormous drag on the economy.
Our workfare program says that welfare should be a temporary helping hand, not a way of life.
I think it's good for the poor to begin to replace welfare with the work ethic, and we ought to recognize it.
It infuriates me because they're talking about people who already work. They just don't make enough money to survive.
We don't have a work ethic problem in the United States.
Correct.
This is in the Western world, this is the country where people don't use their vacation. They don't use their paid time off. People work, and we have a 3.5% unemployment rate. So we don't actually have a work problem. There's no couch potato issue. But that said, this is just targeting the working poor, which is what happened during COVID, right? When we were negotiating for months those relief packages, and people didn't want people to get $600,
right,
without proving all sorts of things and jumping through all sorts of holes. We have a Federal Reserve that can issue debt to companies with no approval from anyone. But God forbid you give a human $600, a working American. So you mentioned it. Either people already work, or they're taking care of kids, or they're disabled. Medicaid, it's for people who don't have those means.
That's right.
So I think the honest thing to do here is to simply say, we'd like to cut this many billion from the budget, because that's what Republicans want to do, and we just want to take it away from these people. It's not, Kevin McCarthy and ilk are saying that if you put work requirements on, it encourages work. It encourages people to get to work, which is very much the language you heard from Newt Gingrich back there, or Rudy Giuliani, or Ronald Reagan. It's simply not true. I'm a numbers guy. I don't have a dog in this fight. I like that people work. I like that people get paid properly. And I'm a Canadian, so I believe that people should get health care, right? So all of those things can be achieved. This doesn't solve anything. If it actually did, that would be interesting. If you said that causing these people to have to work 80 hours a month or 40 hours a week to get their benefits would change the dynamic, I'd be all for it. It's just not true. So let's just be honest. Let's just say poor people are where the cuts come from, because they don't have lobbying organizations.
That's right.
And that's what this is about.
And that they dislike them. I mean, you think about, they tried this in Arkansas. So David Firestone points out that they did this in Arkansas. They put these stringent work requirements in. All that happened is that it didn't even appreciably change the number of people employed, but 17,000 people lost their benefits.
That is correct. So that will work. If you cause people to have these work requirements, what you will not do is see an increase in employment.
Right.
You will see a cut in expenditures, right? So because you'll just eliminate
You just eliminate people.
So think about that. You're taking people off of SNAP, off of food stamps,
Yeah.
and Medicaid. Like, what kind of country is looking to have fewer people have enough? We have a huge child poverty problem, hunger problem in this country, which we should not have. There's no other Western developed country that has that. Why would we be taking these last mile things away from people?
Yeah. The thing about it is, if you think about the kind of people who are getting SNAP, but who also work, and we can put up, where we are one of the worst countries in terms of poverty in the world. These are people who, let's say, are a small hairdresser, or they work at Walmart, they work at a store, they work in a convenience store, but they don't make enough money to actually afford health care. That is who is on Medicaid.
Yes.
They've now said one of their changes, one of their improvements is to say that we want to make the work requirements not just under 50, but up to 55.
Correct.
It's even harder for a 55-year-old to get a job than a 45-year-old.
So let's think about this. In much of the country, it's not the case here in a place like New York, but the federal minimum wage is $7.25.
That's right.
So assume you work 40 hours a week. That is a grand total. These are these couch potatoes or whatever you want. $15,000 a year. That is your income.
What are you doing with that?
$15,000 a year.
And you cannot afford health care with that. And so what they're saying, they should just admit they hate Medicaid.
If you work for something close to the minimum wage in this country, you have to get aid to buy food for your children or to get medical care. Or you get diabetes and you get heart disease and you get rushed to the emergency and then you eat up, from a societal perspective, 4 times the amount of money that if you actually just had health care and went to a doctor. Right? So none of this works. The math on none of this makes sense. This is one of those things where you save $1 billion here, it will ultimately be eaten up somewhere else.
Is there somewhere in the budget you could find lots and lots of savings? Because I'm thinking that the Pentagon might have a little money.
Well, there's Pentagon, there is, and there's taxes, right? Like a lot of our deficit is cutting taxes on the very rich in this country.
That's right.
That's what happens. You cut tax. I mean, if you look at all of our accumulated deficits, which end up being the national debt, far more of it comes from military spending, war, or tax cuts.
The stingiest states in this country when it comes to Medicaid are red states, and they are the poorest states in this country, with the exception of New Mexico. The 10 poorest states in this country are all states that have low taxes and no medical care for the poor. Think about that. Ali Velshi, thank you. And coming up, Ali is actually hosting The Last Word tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. Then be sure to tune into Ali's show, Velshi, tomorrow morning beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern. It is essential viewing. Do not miss it.